The sun was melting like a giant scoop of orange sherbet behind the rooftops of Figgy's neighborhood, painting the whole sky in soft shades of peach and lavender. Figgy had been outside all afternoon, wearing a favorite red cap and carrying something very special, a baseball glove the color of autumn leaves, stitched with tiny golden thread that seemed to shimmer when the light hit it just right. Grandma had given it to Figgy only that morning, whispering with a wink, "This is no ordinary glove, my love. This one catches dreams." Figgy wasn't entirely sure what that meant yet, but the glove felt warm and tingly on one hand, like it was humming a quiet little song only fingers could hear. Figgy smiled, gave the glove a squeeze, and set off down the lane toward the neighborhood basketball court, where the after-school games had just finished, and the orange hoops glowed in the evening light. The basketball court was quiet now, the painted lines glowing white against the grey tarmac. Figgy loved this time of evening at the court, when it felt like the whole world had taken a long, slow breath. A few orange leaves skittered across the ground. Figgy spun around, practicing catching imaginary balls with the magical glove, when suddenly the ground began to tremble. Not a scary tremble, more like the low, rolling rumble you feel in your chest when a big lorry rolls past. Figgy looked up, and up, and up, until the sight of something truly unbelievable appeared at the far end of the court. It was a Brachiosaurus. Not just any Brachiosaurus, the world's tallest Brachiosaurus. Its neck stretched so high it disappeared into the soft purple clouds above, and its enormous feet stepped very, very carefully, as though it knew how big it was and wanted to be polite about it. The Brachiosaurus lowered its tremendous head slowly, slowly, until one enormous, kind brown eye was level with Figgy's face. It blinked, once, twice. Then it made the gentlest sound, like a foghorn played on the softest setting imaginable. Figgy laughed with delight and held up the magical glove. "Hello there," Figgy said. "You're the biggest thing I've ever seen." The Brachiosaurus seemed pleased by this. It nudged one of the basketball hoops with its chin very gently, and the hoop swayed like a lullaby. Then the great dinosaur straightened back up, gave a slow, graceful nod, and stepped away into the dusky tree line, its tail disappearing between the tall oaks like a friendly goodbye wave. Figgy stood there grinning, heart full of wonder. That was when Figgy heard it. A small sound from behind the bleachers, a sort of shuffling, snuffling, stumbling kind of sound. Figgy walked over and peeked around the corner, and there, sitting on its round little bottom, with the tiniest arms waving in the air and enormous amber eyes blinking up, was a baby T-Rex. It was about the size of a golden retriever, covered in soft, rusty brown feathers, and it had a smile absolutely packed with small, very enthusiastic teeth. "Oh," breathed Figgy. "Oh, you are wonderful." The baby T-Rex made a sound like Chomp, not fierce at all, more like a hiccup with confidence, and immediately Figgy knew that was its name. Chomp waddled forward and butted its feathery head against Figgy's knees. Figgy laughed. "Okay, Chomp, but you can't follow me home. You know, you probably belong somewhere." Chomp followed Figgy all the way home, and when Figgy reached the front gate, Chomp sat down on the path and gave a look so full of hope and softness that Figgy's heart simply could not say no. "Just for tonight," Figgy said. "Come on then." Mum raised both eyebrows when Figgy came through the door with a baby dinosaur waddling behind, bumping gently into the coat rack. "It followed me," Figgy explained. Mum looked at Chomp. Chomp looked at Mum. Chomp sneezed a small sneeze. Mum smiled the way she did when things were too sweet to argue with. "Teeth brushed, pajamas on, and that dinosaur is sleeping on the floor," she said. Bedtime came quickly. Figgy climbed under the covers in soft star-patterned pajamas, and Chomp curled up on the rug beside the bed like a very feathery, slightly snory dog. The magical baseball glove sat on the bedside table, glowing very faintly gold. The room was warm and dim, and the night outside was deep velvet blue. Figgy was almost asleep when a tiny sound rang out, like a thimble tapping on a tin lid. Figgy opened one eye. There, standing on the windowsill, no taller than a pencil, was a mouse in silver armor. Tiny silver armor, with a tiny silver shield and a tiny silver sword, no bigger than a sewing needle. The mouse had bright, brave eyes and a small, proud helmet with a white feather plume. "Who are you?" Figgy whispered. "Sir Pip," the mouse said, in a voice like a rustling piece of paper. "Knight of the Night Watch. I guard this room from bad dreams." Sir Pip stood a little straighter. "I know I am small, but I am very good at my job." Figgy smiled. "I believe you, Sir Pip." Sir Pip gave a sharp, dignified nod and turned to face the window, sword raised, absolutely ready for any bad dream that dared to come close. Chomp lifted his feathery head, looked at Sir Pip, and made a soft, approving chomp sound before going back to sleep. Then Figgy remembered the glove. Grandma had said it catches dreams. Figgy reached over and slipped a hand inside. It felt warm, warmer than before, and then, quite magically, the air above the bed began to shimmer. Soft shapes drifted down from the ceiling like soap bubbles. A dream of flying over green meadows, a dream of a birthday cake as tall as a house, a dream of laughing with friends on a golden beach. The glove caught them, one by one, and held them soft and safe like fireflies in a jar. Sir Pip glanced over his shoulder approvingly. "The good ones stay," he announced, "and I keep the bad ones away. Together, we make sure your sleep is only sweet. See?" Figgy said softly, looking at the tiny brave knight. "Even small helpers can do big things." Sir Pip puffed up with pride so great his little silver breastplate gleamed. The room grew quieter. The golden glow of the glove grew softer. Chomp's gentle snoring filled the air like a small, rumbling lullaby. Outside, through the window, Figgy could just make out the shape of the tall, tall treetops, and somewhere beyond them, perhaps, the world's tallest Brachiosaurus was settling down for sleep too, folding its enormous neck like a question mark against the stars. Figgy looked at the glove, full of good dreams, looked at Sir Pip on the windowsill, standing guard so small and so bold, looked at Chomp, curled up and peaceful, feathers rising and falling with each little breath. Everyone was here. Everyone was safe. Figgy felt the warmth of the blanket wrap close, felt the soft pillow beneath a cheek, felt the whole long, wonderful day begin to drift away like a leaf on a slow river. The eyes grew heavy, so very, very heavy. A yawn came, a deep, cozy, satisfying yawn, and the eyes fluttered and finally, gently, closed. And Figgy slept, and dreamed of basketball courts and enormous gentle giants, of baby dinosaurs with hopeful eyes, and a tiny brave knight who stood watch all through the night, making sure every single dream was a good one. Good night, Figgy. Good night, Chomp. Good night, Sir Pip. Good night, everyone.